welcome to Photography TV. In our next two shows, we're at Photomart's Summer Workshop, which is a trade show aimed at professional photographers. Keith Trainer is here and will be demonstrating a new Sony printer, and Sony products will also be the topic of discussion when we talk with Josephine Gibson, DP Account Manager at Sony UK. We'll also be talking with Lewis Martindale of Photomart about the show and speak to some of the visitors here today about what's good about the show and what's not. And of course, we'll have our usual features of the news and the critique slots. But first, as we head for summer, hopefully, more of you are heading outside with your family in search of great photos. But just how do you achieve great results away from the security of the studio? Well, Angelina Giorgio, a lifestyle photographer, tells us more.
Okay, stop there, Ellie, stop there. Bring Cameron into you and see if you can look at each other. Hold hands and look at each other. Oh, you are such a good model, Cameron.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Tell me a bit about your history and background.
Well, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I don't know where that's gone. And before that, I was a fashion designer and a costume designer. So I worked freelance and had my own business making wedding dresses. So I suppose I knew about the wedding dress field. But I had an accident and I damaged my neck, so I couldn't sew for long periods of time. Right. And my friend when I was getting better, my friend who was a wedding photographer said, "Oh, come out with me and tweak dresses and be my assistant." And he put a camera in my hand and I chopped lots of people's heads off. But I thought, actually, this is fun. I like this. I'm getting out and meeting people. So I kind of got into it really accidentally.
Yeah. And so what's made you then stick to doing photography outdoors?
Originally it was cost. I lived in a flat, I didn't have much money, but I wanted to get into portraiture as well.
Yeah.
So I decided, well, you know, the world's the stage, let's use it. And people feel more comfortable in an environment that they know. It's more of a special photograph to them if they've always walked the dog in that particular park, or, you know, their home has got a nice garden. It becomes, they own the picture, it's part of them, it's not just a big white background.
So what are the difficulties with you not having the security of studio and lighting?
Rain.
Rain.
The good British weather.
Oh yes.
I mean, although you can make that quite funky, you know, put Wellington boots on and get the kids in jumpers, but it's whether the family or the couple want to play the game. That's the only problem. And then of course you've got sunshine like we had today. There's a lot of bright sunshine and then kind of clouds, and so there's a lot to that. But the pros, basically, it's fantastic. You can go anywhere and people are much more content and happy. And it's not sort of, you know, bang, 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 one person in, one person out, you know, and it's just more personal. So
what will you be looking to do today? We've got two kids, one's a lot younger than the other, one's one years old, I think. So how will you deal with them?
Well, obviously we're in a really great rural area, so walking is great. Getting the older one to lead the little one, that always looks really good from a distance. There's a lot of trees, so we can get a lot of you know, shots under the trees, so there's shade and stuff. So there's quite a lot we can do here.
Right then, so what kind of kit will you be using today?
Well, I use Canon, simply because I've never got into Nikon. People always ask, why Nikon, why Canon? That's the way it is. I just started out like that.
Yeah.
I've got a 5D, Canon 5D, which I love. It's really good. I love it. And it's a really good weight. I've got the battery pack on the bottom because it just really balances it out nicely. And then the lens that I use most of all, generally when I know the children, they're a little bit older, I don't have to keep back from them too much. I use the 24-70.
Okay.
2.8 lens. 2.8 lets in more light, obviously, so that's a really good basic set. I also use a longer lens, especially if the kids are running and they're kind of far away, or you don't know them very well and they're a little bit shy, so you're not so in their face. I use the long lens. It's the 70-200, again 2.8, so that you can really open it up and get the light in. Again, Canon, but Sigma do lenses just as good and not quite as expensive. So.
And I know you haven't used it today, but you've got a flash here as well. Yeah,
I tend to use flash. I mean, this one's made for the Canon 5D, and it's the 550EX. It's a really good bit of kit. I tend not to put it on the camera if I know it's a really good light, it's a really good day, and I don't need to mess around too much. If it's a very bright day, obviously you don't want the children to be looking into the light because they're going to squint and get fed up quickly. So what you do is you have the light behind them, and then you have to fill their face with a little bit of flash just to light them up.
So would it otherwise otherwise would they be quite
They'd
dark?
be in shadow.
Oh,
You'll get
okay.
the whole silhouette feature, which can work sometimes, but obviously you want their eyes and their face to light up.
And then you finally got a reflector.
Yeah, I use that occasionally, sometimes if the parents are here or someone else is here to hold it, because you can't hold and take photographs. And again, it's just if you want to bounce some light back into the child's face. If they're sitting down, probably not the younger ones so much, but if they're sitting down and they're leaning against something and you just want that really nice like white sort of lift the face, and you're doing a close-up, that works really well.
So what camera settings do you use then?
I tend to use, well, on Canon it's AV, but it's aperture priority.
Okay.
And basically that's opening the aperture up and letting more light in. And what that does is it blurs the background and it brings the person, the object, the subject, right out and blurs the background, so that becomes part of, you know, they jump out and they can really stand out then.
And the ISO settings?
ISO settings I tend to change quite a lot, because obviously being outside you have to keep changing it.
The light, the sun.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're always going to have to change. But in general, 400's great with movement and running around and lots of kids running everywhere. And then just drop it accordingly if the light comes out. You know, just keep playing about with it.
And what about the white balance?
White balance, my theory is just keep it simple. Yes, you can mess around if you want to, but just keep it simple, because the subject is moving a lot and they're going to get bored quickly. So I keep it on automatic white balance. I mean, I can do that because it's digital. Most people tend to do something in Photoshop or in some kind of program afterwards, so you can play around with it a bit more.
Absolutely. So that's great. What kind of top tips do you have for, say, amateur professional photographers doing this type of work?
Patience.
Yes.
Patience with children. Yes. The young ones get bored really, really easily and very quickly. You've got a time slot. I try and meet, if I don't know them, if I haven't met them before, I don't go straight in. I like to sit and chat to the children, chat to the parents, so they feel a bit more comfortable around me, and then get the camera equipment out. And then you've pretty much got about an hour's slot before they kind of go down the other side and get bored and whingy and don't want to do it anymore. So.
And that's great for professionals, but say mum and dad at home, any tips for them?
Well, mum and dad obviously know their children much better, so they probably don't have to direct quite as much as I do. Do maybe try a little bit more reportagey, you know, sort of just get them out in the garden playing around and playing with a toy, so that they've got a subject that they're concentrating on. Step back and just watch, because you know your child more. You know, you're going to know that smile that they do when they're fed up or they're happy. You're going to know them more. Okay,
so on a more serious note, taking photos of children in public, what are the issues with that?
It's something we have to be a bit careful about now, and I would say take it easy, especially around public areas, basically, where there's a lot of children and a lot of parents, because people are getting very twitchy now, playgrounds, beaches, etc. Something we really need to educate the public on. You know, if you're a professional, you're not going to damage your reputation. It's just not worth it. There are checks that you can do.
Yes.
CRB checks.
Okay, and what's that?
Right, that's from the Criminal Records Bureau.
Yes.
And what that is they just basically do a background check on you and you get a certificate.
So that sort of proves, you know, I'm okay, I'm not dodgy.
Yeah. People who work in nurseries very, very often have them, and a lot of corporate organisations ask for you to show your CRB check. So, you know, people are checked out there, so don't worry.
Thanks, Angelina. I'm now joined by photomart Managing Director Lewis Martindale. Hiya, how are you doing?
All right, and you?
So how often do you arrange these kind of events?
It's about 4 times a year.
4 times a year?
Yeah.
Are they always successful?
Very, very. I mean, this is one of the best things we've done for the last few years, that we thought about this type of seminars, and we find out that people they need this type of seminar where they can we give them more knowledge about the new era of the event photography. So we find that it's successful, and we need to do more actually. And there is a big major corporates they need to come in the future. So for example, we are holding the next seminar in September, where major names they are asking to be with us.
With there being so many other trade shows, why do you do this? What's in it for the customer and what's in it for you?
It's knowledge.
Yes.
Where you find, for example, other events and seminars done somewhere else in UK, they need more knowledge and how to do it actually. With us, it comes from years and years of experience, years and years of knowledge about the business. We were the first one in this type of photographic business where we push for the event markets. So we find out that we are actually number one in this type of service.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll be joining Lewis later on in the day to find out how it's all been going. But first, let's see what the visitors think about the day and what they expect to get from it.
I'm here because it's a good value day and I'm looking to learn lots from different seminars.
Understanding lighting a bit better, get to know how to deal with subjects more sort of fluently, really, and just to get a bit more out of my photography, really.
Just to learn a little bit and meet up with a few other people.
To learn some more about lighting.
Get some information how to get the best quality of shooting.
I just wanted to learn, to pick up some ideas, meet some people.
We're learning more about the technique of how to set up and how to create different moods, definitely.